Ladies and gentlemen, we all love comfort. A warm bed, a predictable routine, familiar faces, and the safety of knowing what tomorrow looks like. Comfort feels like home, and home feels safe. But let me ask you a bold question today. Is your comfort zone silently killing your potential? The comfort zone is deceptive. It doesn't feel harmful. In fact, it feels soothing, like a blanket on a cold night. But what many of us don't realize is that comfort zones are like cages. They may protect us from failure, embarrassment, or risk, but they also lock us away from growth, adventure, and greatness. Think about it. Every skill you've ever developed, every milestone you've ever reached, came from stepping into something unfamiliar. You learned to walk by stumbling. You learned to speak by mispronouncing. You gained wisdom not from ease, but from struggle. Yet, as adults, many of us retreat back into safety, telling ourselves, I'll try later. I'm not ready. What if I fail? But here's the truth. Your comfort zone is not designed to keep you safe, it's designed to keep you small. History, innovation, and personal transformation were never born in comfort. Airplanes weren't invented by men who wanted to stay on the ground. Nations weren't freed by leaders who were too afraid of criticism. And your dreams won't come alive if you keep tucking them under the pillow of comfort. Now, stepping out of your comfort zone doesn't mean you must take reckless leaps. It means taking small, consistent steps into discomfort, trying something new, having the tough conversation, saying yes when fear whispers no. Growth lives just beyond the borders of familiarity. Let me share this. Discomfort is not your enemy. It is your compass. The very thing you resist is often the thing that will set you free. That speech you're afraid to give, it could unlock your voice. That skill you're hesitant to learn, it could open new doors. That risk you're afraid to take, it could change your entire destiny. So today I ask you, look at your life honestly. Are you living fully or just living comfortably? Are you chasing potential or protecting familiarity? Because one thing is certain, you cannot have growth and comfort at the same time. You must choose. Your future self is waiting for you on the other side of fear. Step out, risk a little, dare to live in the uncomfortable space where possibility breathes. Because when you do, you won't just survive, you'll soar. Comfort zones feel safe, but keep you small. We all crave safety. As human beings, our minds are hardwired to protect us from risk, danger, and uncertainty. That's why the comfort zone feels so appealing. It is the mental and emotional space where routines are predictable, challenges are minimal, and outcomes are almost guaranteed. In the comfort zone, nothing feels threatening. But while it may feel safe, it is silently shrinking your possibilities, limiting your growth, and keeping you far away from the extraordinary life you're capable of living. Think about this. When was the last time you experienced real growth while staying comfortable? Chances are the answer is never. Growth is by its very nature uncomfortable. When you were a child, you grew by falling as you learned to walk, by fumbling as you learned to speak, by making mistakes as you learned new skills. But somewhere along the way, we became afraid of discomfort. We started associating mistakes with shame, failure with weakness, and risk with disaster. So we built walls around ourselves, walls of routine, habit, and predictability. Those walls became our comfort zone. The problem is that the comfort zone doesn't just keep fear out. It also keeps greatness out. Imagine a bird that refuses to leave the nest because the nest feels warm and secure. Yes, the bird avoids the risk of falling, but it also forfeits the chance to discover its wings. Many of us are living like that bird, safe but stuck. The danger of the comfort zone is not that you're living badly, it's that you're living beneath your potential. It whispers to you, you're fine as you are. Don't try, don't risk, don't change. And because nothing feels urgent, you don't notice the slow erosion of your dreams. Years pass, and one day you realize the life you wanted slipped away. Not because you weren't capable, but because you chose to stay comfortable. Here's the paradox. Comfort zones feel like protection, but they actually keep us vulnerable. Why? Because the world around us is always changing. Technology evolves, industries transform, relationships shift, and life brings unexpected challenges. If we stay stagnant, clinging to what feels safe, we eventually find ourselves unprepared. Comfort creates complacency, and complacency creates fragility. But growth creates resilience. Breaking free from the comfort zone doesn't mean you need to make reckless choices. It simply means daring to stretch yourself little by little. Start the project you've been postponing. Take on a responsibility that scares you. Say yes to the opportunity that feels too big. Each time you do, you stretch the walls of your comfort zone. What once felt terrifying will one day feel natural, and you'll look back amazed at how much you've grown. Remember this: the comfort zone is not a home, it's a holding cell. It keeps you alive, but it doesn't let you live. The people who achieve extraordinary things, whether in art, business, science, or personal growth, are not the ones who stayed comfortable. They are the ones who dared to be uncomfortable long enough to grow into who they were meant to be. So, the next time comfort tempts you to play small, ask yourself, am I choosing safety or am I choosing growth? Because you cannot have both. One will keep you sheltered, the other will set you free. And freedom, true freedom, lives beyond the comfort zone. Growth begins where comfort ends. Growth is never born in ease. It is always born in challenge. Think about the greatest lessons you've learned in life. Did they come when everything was smooth, predictable, and comfortable? Or did they come when you were stretched, tested, and forced to rise above your limits? The truth is, growth begins the very moment comfort ends. Our comfort zone is like a bubble. Inside it, everything feels familiar and safe. But outside that bubble lies the unknown, a place filled with uncertainty, risk, and sometimes fear. And yet, it is in that very space that growth lives. Like a seed that cannot flourish unless it breaks through the soil, we too must push against the boundaries of what feels familiar to uncover the potential buried within us. Consider this: muscles don't grow without resistance. If you want to get stronger, you must lift weights that challenge you. The strain, the burn, the discomfort, these are the very signals that growth is happening. Life works the same way. If we never face resistance, if we never challenge ourselves, we remain exactly where we are. And while where we are may feel comfortable, it is not where our greatness lies. Growth requires courage. It requires you to take that step even when your knees are trembling. It requires you to speak up when your voice shakes, to try when failure feels possible, and to keep going when doubt screams louder than confidence. The discomfort you feel in those moments is not a sign you're on the wrong path, it's a sign you're on the path of transformation. Let's look at history. Every breakthrough in human progress was born from stepping beyond comfort. The explorers who discovered new lands, the innovators who built new technologies, the leaders who stood against injustice, none of them achieved greatness by staying in the familiar. They embraced discomfort, and in doing so, they expanded not only their own lives, but the lives of generations after them. But growth is not just about grand achievements. It's also about personal evolution. Maybe for you, growth looks like starting a business, writing that book, running a marathon, or learning a new skill. Maybe it looks like leaving a toxic relationship or finally having the courage to say no. Each of these requires you to leave behind the comfort of the familiar and step into the unknown. And each of these brings you closer to the person you are capable of becoming. The irony is that what feels terrifying today can one day become your new comfort zone. The first time you speak in public, you might shake with fear, but after doing it again and again, it becomes second nature. Each time you step beyond comfort, you expand the size of your world. You prove to yourself that you are stronger, braver, and more capable than you thought. The question is not whether you will face discomfort in life. You absolutely will. The question is whether you will embrace it as an opportunity for growth or retreat from it in the name of safety. If you retreat, you may avoid temporary pain, but you also avoid long-term transformation. If you embrace it, The journey may be hard, but the reward will be a stronger, wiser, and more fulfilled version of yourself. So remember this: every time comfort ends, growth begins. Don't run from discomfort, lean into it, because it is there, outside the safety of what you know, that the magic of your potential comes alive. Expansion. Discomfort is a compass, not an enemy. Most of us spend our lives running from discomfort. The moment we feel our heart race, our palms sweat, or that knot in the stomach, we assume something is wrong. We label discomfort as danger, and we retreat to safety. But here's the truth: discomfort is not your enemy. It is your compass. It points directly to the places in your life where growth, transformation, and untapped potential are waiting for you. Think about it. What were the most important milestones in your life? Chances are none of them came wrapped in ease. Your first day at school was uncomfortable. Learning a new skill was uncomfortable. Taking on your first job, going on your first date, speaking up in a meeting. Each of these carried fear, tension, and uncertainty. Yet, on the other side of that discomfort, you grew. You became wiser, stronger, and more capable. Discomfort is often misunderstood because it feels so unpleasant. Our natural instinct is to avoid it, but avoiding discomfort is like avoiding exercise. Sure, you save yourself from temporary strain, but you also deny yourself strength. In the same way, avoiding discomfort in life may spare you from momentary fear, but it robs you of long-term growth. Think of an athlete training for a marathon. Every mile stretches their limits. Every practice run tests their endurance. There's pain, sweat, and exhaustion, but each moment of discomfort is a signal that the body is adapting, getting stronger, preparing for something greater. Life is no different. Discomfort doesn't mean you're failing. It means you're expanding. Let me share a simple metaphor. Imagine you're standing at the edge of a forest, and beyond that forest lies the life you dream of: success, joy, fulfillment, purpose. The path through the forest is dark, unfamiliar, and uncomfortable. Most people see the fear and turn back, choosing to stay in the open field of comfort. But those who dare to walk through the forest discover that discomfort was not the danger. It was the doorway. The same applies to your personal journey. That business idea you keep putting off, the very discomfort you feel about starting, is your compass pointing toward opportunity. That tough conversation you've been avoiding, the discomfort is guiding you toward growth in your relationships. That skill you're scared to learn because you might fail, the discomfort is showing you exactly where your next level of potential lies. Discomfort isn't a red light telling you to stop, it's a green light signaling that you're on the right path. If you only ever choose what feels easy, you'll stay where you are. But if you choose what feels uncomfortable, you'll move toward who you are meant to be. And here's the beautiful part: every time you face discomfort, you stretch your comfort zone. What felt terrifying yesterday will feel normal tomorrow. Public speaking is a perfect example. The first time you do it, your voice shakes and your heart pounds. But do it enough times, and what once felt unbearable becomes second nature. That's the gift of discomfort. It transforms fear into freedom. So instead of asking, "How can I avoid discomfort?" start asking, "What is this discomfort trying to teach me? Where is it guiding me?" When you reframe discomfort as direction, you no longer see it as a barrier. You see it as a compass pointing toward your highest self. Remember this: comfort keeps you where you are, but discomfort takes you where you're meant to go. If you want to find your power, follow the path that scares you a little, challenges you deeply, and stretches you beyond what you thought possible. That is the road to your true potential. Small steps create big breakthroughs. When people talk about leaving their comfort zones, they often imagine giant, dramatic leaps, quitting their job overnight, moving across the world, or risking everything on a bold idea. And while those big moves can be powerful, the truth is this: lasting transformation rarely begins with one massive leap. It begins with small, consistent steps. Think of climbing a mountain. You don't teleport to the summit. You don't even sprint to the top. You reach it one step at a time. Each step may seem small, almost insignificant in the moment, but together they create momentum. That steady progress eventually brings you to heights you once thought were impossible. The same principle applies to life. If you want to become a confident public speaker, you don't start by addressing a stadium filled with thousands of people. You start by sharing your thoughts in a small group, practicing in front of a mirror, or maybe recording yourself on video. Each small step stretches your comfort zone just enough to prepare you for the next challenge. Over time, those small steps stack up into a breakthrough. Suddenly, standing on a stage doesn't feel impossible anymore. Small steps are powerful because they are sustainable. Big leaps often require massive energy, massive courage, and massive resources. And while they can change your life, they also overwhelm most people. Small steps, however, are manageable. They allow you to face discomfort in doses that are challenging but not paralyzing. With each small act of courage, you build resilience. With each little risk, you build confidence. And eventually, what once terrified you becomes second nature. Let's take an everyday example. Imagine you want to get healthier. If you try to change everything at once, diet, exercise, sleep, mindset, you'll likely burn out within weeks. But if you start small, drinking more water today, walking 10 minutes tomorrow, swapping one unhealthy meal for a healthier choice, you'll create momentum. Over time, these little steps compound into real transformation. What feels impossible in one giant leap becomes achievable through consistent action. This is the magic of small steps. They compound. Just as money compounds with interest, courage compounds with action. Each small risk builds the courage to take a slightly bigger one. Each small step forward prepares you for the next, and before you know it, the steps you once thought were huge now feel natural. But here's the catch. Many people dismiss small steps because they don't look impressive. They want overnight success, instant results, or dramatic transformations. But greatness is rarely built in a day. It is built daily. The book is written one page at a time. The marathon is finished 1 mile at a time. The business is built one decision at a time. Small steps may not look heroic in the moment, but they are the seeds of your breakthrough. So, ask yourself, what small step can I take today that stretches my comfort zone? Maybe it's speaking up in a meeting. Maybe it's sending that email you've been postponing. Maybe it's waking up 30 minutes earlier to work on your dream. Whatever it is, start small, but start. Because here's the truth. Waiting for the perfect moment to take a giant leap is often just another way of staying stuck. But taking a small step today puts you in motion. And once you're in motion, momentum will carry you forward. Never underestimate the power of small steps. They may not feel like much, but they are the bridge between who you are and who you are meant to become. Consistency turns those little steps into big breakthroughs, and those breakthroughs create the life you dream of. You can't have growth and comfort at the same time. Life is full of choices, but perhaps none is as important as this one. Will you choose comfort, or will you choose growth? Because here's the unshakable truth. You cannot have both. Comfort and growth are opposites. Comfort says, stay safe, stay the same, don't take risks. Growth says, step forward, stretch yourself, embrace risk. Comfort whispers that you'll be fine as you are. Growth demands that you become more than you are. To cling to comfort is to forfeit growth, and to chase growth is to let go of comfort. The two cannot coexist. Think about the butterfly in its cocoon. In order to fly, it must struggle to break free. The process looks painful, even cruel, but it is necessary. The very act of pushing against the cocoon strengthens its wings. If someone were to cut the cocoon open to help the butterfly, it would emerge weak and unable to fly. In the same way, when you avoid struggle in the name of comfort, you rob yourself of the very strength that makes you capable of soaring. The comfort zone is attractive because it promises safety, but what it really delivers is stagnation. You won't fail there, but you won't succeed either. You won't feel pain there, but you won't feel purpose either. It's like living in a room where the temperature never changes. Not too hot, not too cold, but also never truly alive. And here's the real danger. Comfort doesn't feel destructive in the moment. It feels pleasant, but its effects are revealed over time. Days turn into months, months into years, and suddenly you realize you've been standing still while life has been moving on. The opportunities you once had are gone, the potential you once carried is wasted, and the person you could have become never had a chance to exist. Growth, on the other hand, is uncomfortable. It asks you to take risks. It asks you to be vulnerable. It asks you to fail and try again. But while the process is uncomfortable, the outcome is liberation. Growth expands you, strengthens you, and brings you closer to your full potential. Think of anyone you admire, an athlete, an artist, a leader, or even someone in your own community. Do you think they reached greatness by staying comfortable? No, they chose discomfort. They chose early mornings, long hours, endless practice, rejection, criticism, and failure. They chose growth over comfort, and that choice is what separates them from the masses. The irony is that the more you choose growth, the more your capacity for discomfort expands. What once felt terrifying eventually becomes normal. That's the gift of pushing yourself. You stretch your limb, it's so wide that comfort itself begins to grow with you. But the cycle only begins when you dare to step out in the first place. At the end of life, few people regret the risks they took. What they regret are the chances they never seized because they chose comfort instead. They regret the words they never spoke, the dreams they never chased, the lives they never touched. Comfort gave them safety, but it cost them meaning. So, you must decide. Will you live safe, or will you live alive? Will you settle for what's easy, or will you chase what's extraordinary? Comfort is cheap. It costs you nothing in the moment, but everything in the long run. Growth is expensive. It demands courage, effort, and vulnerability. But the return on that investment is a life of fulfillment, impact, and freedom. You can't have both, comfort or growth, safety or transformation. The choice is yours, and your future will be shaped by the one you choose. As we come to the close of this journey, I want to leave you with a question that echoes louder than when we began. Is your comfort zone killing your potential? Because the comfort zone, though tempting, is not the place where life happens. It's the place where life pauses. It whispers to you that you're safe, that you're protected, that you don't need to stretch. But behind that whisper lies a silent thief, stealing opportunities, stealing growth, and stealing the future that could be yours. Think about it. How many dreams have died in the graveyard of comfort? How many books were never written because someone feared the blank page? How many businesses were never launched because someone feared failure? How many relationships were never pursued because someone feared rejection? Comfort convinces us to stay still, but staying still is not the same as living. The truth is, comfort offers you a slow death, not a dramatic collapse, but a gradual shrinking of your potential, your dreams, and your possibilities. One day you may wake up and realize that years have passed, and while you stayed safe, you also stayed small, and that realization is far more painful than the temporary discomfort of risk. But here is the hope. The door out of the comfort zone is always open. It doesn't lock you in. You lock yourself in by choosing not to walk through it, and walking through doesn't require a dramatic leap. It requires a decision to face fear, to embrace uncertainty, and to trust that what lies beyond is worth the risk. The power of stepping out of your comfort zone is that it expands your world. The first step may feel terrifying. Your heart might race, your hands might shake, your voice might tremble, but as you take that step, something shifts. What was once uncomfortable becomes familiar. What was once terrifying becomes normal, and with each new step, your comfort zone grows. And with it, so does your life. Remember this. Discomfort is the birthplace of transformation. Every story of greatness carries a chapter of risk, fear, and doubt. But those who rise are the ones who decided that staying the same was more painful than the discomfort of change. They realized that you can either suffer the short-term sting of fear or the lifelong ache of regret. So I ask you to look at your own life. Where are you choosing comfort over courage? Where are you playing small when you could be stepping into something greater? Maybe it's in your career, maybe it's in your relationships, maybe it's in your dreams. Whatever it is, I challenge you take that step, not tomorrow, not someday, but today, because life does not wait for you to feel ready. Growth does not knock politely on your door. Opportunities do not keep circling forever. They are here now, waiting just beyond your comfort zone. And if you are brave enough to step into that space, you will find not just success, but freedom. The freedom of living fully, boldly, and unapologetically. One day you will look back, and in that moment of reflection, what story do you want to tell? The story of a life lived safely within the walls of comfort, or the story of a life that dared to step beyond those walls and discover its true potential? The choice is yours. Comfort or growth, safety or greatness, fear or freedom. I hope you choose courage, because the life you dream of doesn't live in comfort. It lives in the boldness of stepping out. And when you do, you won't just find your potential. You'll find yourself. Thank you.